In a few months' time, this block of old apartments in Westlands will be demolished to pave way for a 1 billion shilling modern residential project. According to the developer's site on investments, the current houses no longer make economic sense.
So this needs to come up with a concept that will not only speak to the end user who eventually will come to occupy the property, but also to speak to the developer and the investor in terms of returns.
Most high-end locations are bidding bye-bye to standalone homes, opening the door to either commercial buildings or high-rise residential developments. They call it redevelopment.
We are looking at putting something around 60 to 70 units, which will feature studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom, all furnished and serviced.
Redeveloping this land will increase the property's yield from 3% to an estimated 10% annually. Now, this is a trend that real estate experts attribute to the ever-escalating land prices in many city addresses, and it all boils down to the basics of demand and supply. And with it comes higher house prices. According to the latest indices by the Kenya Bankers Association, house prices went up 2.2% in Q3 of the year. The report shows that new developments are still targeted to the high and middle ends of the market, with the lower segment experiencing supply constraints.
So long as you have a concentration of infrastructure development in particular areas, we'll see land skyrocketing in terms of price in those areas, and that will make many of the houses that are being put in the market out of reach.
This therefore calls for the need to open up new areas for developments, locations away from the traditional hotspots and the rapidly congesting dormitory towns that suffer poor infrastructure, most of which is put up by private developers.
If they're providing public goods, what they'll do is that they'll try to recoup that through the price of houses, and that will tend to disenfranchise the people who could have actually accessed affordable housing.
It is here that collaboration between government and private developers becomes inevitably sensible.
The infrastructure has to be there, and then the private sector will have an incentive. The infrastructure has to be there, and then the private sector will have an incentive to move in. So it's a partnership, but that partnership has to come with a clear sequencing.
Failure to which home ownership will remain just a dream for a majority of Kenyans. Patrick Igunza, Citizen Business Center.